Hello and welcome, Bull League fans, to this video tutorial on StatsLab. StatsLab is a new feature for the Bull League, and I'm just going to run you through some of the features if you haven't used StatsLab before or seen it or know what it's about. I'll show you some of the neat things you can do with it. First of all, though, when you log in, after inputting your super secret default password, you'll be brought to a screen somewhat like this. This is your GM profile screen, your user screen. And on the right-hand side, you'll notice it has some of your settings, your name, which league and which team ID are associated with you. This is where you can update your password, and I recommend putting in your password here, your super secret default password, and then adding in your whatever you're going to change it to, and then click on Change Password. Great, and then what's beneficial about this screen as well is you can also tie it in with your OOTP forum name if you have one, a link to personal messages there, but more importantly is your email. So when other GMs want to reach out to you to discuss trades and whatnot, if they don't have your email handy, or they're not able to reach you on Slack, or they're not on Slack, they can just fire you an email. So by inputting your email address in there, that really is handy. And also by putting your email address in this box, you'll be able to get updates from the league every time we update, especially with drafts and game results, etc. Basically when we load a new StatsLab, load into the game or into StatsLab. Right down here is where that checkbox is. So you can put your email in there and check this box, and you will get updated every time StatsLab is updated. And check this box for draft updates. Our league doesn't do a live draft. We'll be doing draft lists when we get to the first year player draft, but it's still handy to have your email in there. Optionally, you can input your Facebook, Twitter, any website URLs that you have. I don't think anyone uses AIM or MSN or ICQ anymore, but you can put those in there if you want. And another feature is if you don't want to know your scores ahead of time until you actually open the box scores and whatnot, you can check this box. However, most people want to know right away what their team did, especially because most of the other GMs will already know and they'll be discussing it in the Slack chat. Anyway, the other big feature with StatsLab is the export screen. And here we have the exports screen. It does take a while to load. We are working on resolving that, trying to make it a bit of a faster load. But the export screen will tell you, and all of the GMs, who has already updated their team or uploaded their team to the league. So here's the current export tracker screen for January 14th. It gives you the league file date at the top. So this is the current league file, January 13th. This is a lot handier. We used to update the league file date on the website, bullleague.org, but because this is an automated process and it pulls it in real time out of the league folders, this is probably a little bit more reliable than relying on the website. So as we can see currently, the Boston Brawlers have done a new export, and some of the other teams here, Anchorage, the Anchorage Aces have done a new export. You see the old exports are in red, so New York Minutemen, Montreal Metros, Toronto Nomads, my team. Most of the other teams have not sent an update. And where you see no export, the team is not exported at all. This is the case for the AI-controlled teams and also any of the teams that haven't updated since we started this season, which was in the game date, it was January 16th. I believe we did our first sims 2 days ago. So that's how the export screen works. And of course, the Bull Oceanic League, our independent league, is down here. So those of you that operate one of these leagues, one of these teams in this league, you'll be able to find your exports down there. Not a lot of activity in the Oceanic League right now other than free agent signings just because we're in the off season. If you're curious to know who the other managers are in the league, here's the listing for the Bull Oceanic League. Most of the teams are CPU controlled. You can see that there are 4 teams that are managed by humans. Dylan has the Newcastle Nuclear. Scott Ellis has Tasmania currently. I've got the Wellington Dukes, and Brandon's running the Hamilton Hammers. Does also show the other managers in the other league. So our main league is the Bull Baseball League. If I was logged in as a Bull Baseball manager, it would be at the top. There we go. And by switching to the BBL, it puts it at the top. So here's the GM list for the Bull Baseball League, and you can see that there's a lot more teams that are human controlled right now, and we're actually we're doing quite well. We've got, I think, 9 teams that are human controlled currently. That's almost half. All right. So what are the other features? The Bull Baseball League is actually the league with most of the features. Including all-star voting, which is currently not enabled because we're not quite there yet. All-star voting will start at the end of June or early July. Award voting, when the season gets running, we'll have that activated. And Hall of Fame voting. Of course, Hall of Fames are not. The Hall of Fame voting is not done until December, so that'll be a long time. The draft has not been scheduled yet, and I've got this admin button. That's where the draft scheduling is all set, the draft order, etc. Draft order may actually already be in there. Let's have a look here. Draft order. Nothing yet. But those will come in time. Here's the season page. Now, there's not a lot going on here in the seasons page. You can see that none of the teams have any results, and this is because at the BBL level, we're still in the preseason. If we switch to the league that's currently playing, which is the Florida Rookie League, you can see that the season box actually populates with some information. And here's what it would look like if you were the manager of the Battle Creek Attack, their B team. It will show you the last results from their last sim. There was 4 games in the last sim, and the upcoming schedule. Right up to, it looks like about 10 games. Those of you that optionally check the hide results default, you can also find that checkbox here, and you'll notice it'll conceal the results until you actually look at the box scores, etc. Load up this box score, and there you go. Not sure what the attraction is on that one. For example, I manage the Toronto Nomads. Here's the Toronto Nomads screen for the season screen. If you wanted to take a look at the sim preview, this is a league-wide sim preview. It'll tell you the noteworthy matchups for the upcoming sim. It estimates the next sim at four games, and they are correct. It will be a 4-game sim. And some of the noteworthy games. Here's Calgary versus Ohio. Both teams are 2-2, so they're looking to break their 500 records. Here's Battle Creek playing Seattle. Kingston Cannons here have not won a game yet. They're playing the Dallas Lawmen. So some interesting things. And on the right side, some things to watch for. The Brawlers on a 4-game losing streak to Naples. They're looking to get their first win. California Titles, their B team, is on a 4-game winning streak. There's so the streaks are up there. Some of the DL information, if the players are on streaks, that'll be in that box. So some great information here at the bottom. You have the hot and cold lists, which are pretty handy as well. Top performances so far. Now, keep in mind there's only been 4 games, but it'll give you the notable games. Which ones were the good games? Here was an 11-inning game between Seattle and Norfolk. Both those teams are AI controlled, but pretty close match until the 11th frame when the Lakeland Seattle Salts managed to squeak one by. We've got a 2-hit shutout here. The Aces over Denver's Daytona Beach team. So some interesting matchups and interesting games. And then you can see the top performances for the batters and pitchers. And as the season progresses, some of these will become a little bit more interesting. Here's the season standings. You can choose last sim if you want, or a specific date range, and it'll give you the standings for that specific date range or the last simulation. But right now it's set to the season. There's only been 4 games. Some other information we can review from here. Well, there's a great stats generator. You can do some filtering by teams, by last sim, by season, versus other teams. So there's some great information here for analytics. Here's a whole whack of players. By clicking on log, you'll actually get their game log. So here's the game log for Muniaki Adachi, who is a player for Boston's B team, rookie team. So here's his last 4 games game log, his season batting splits. Some great information here. If you click on history, this is another good one. Won't show much for the Florida Rookie League, but if we switch to something like the Cal League, which is the AAA level, you get a full history of the league since its inception, all of the championship teams, which teams have won the most championships, and links to each of those teams. So, for example, in 2016, the Baltimore Bruins were the champions. And the Baltimore Bruins, right at the top here, it's an affiliate of the Jacksonville Ravens. This will tell you some of their award winners for last season, what their record was. Of course, there's no financials in the minor leagues, but they had 2 players of the week last year. Their batting stats, so their entire batting register for who played on the team last year, includes all of the players that are moved off the team as well, promoted or demoted. Fielding stats, pitching stats. The fielding stats are broken down by position, and the team batting leaders and pitching leaders at the bottom there. So some great information there. Besides the season summary, you can look at other aspects of that team. Full batting registry, positional starters. So we'll take a look at the positional starters. This is a list of the positional starters. Only seems to include 2016 at the moment. That's probably due to the settings on OOTP for the Cal League. For Bull League, it should show more in-depth information. So that's basically a quick overview of StatsLab and what it's capable of. It's got some great information. You can really do some good data mining. There's the Anchorage Aces starting player history for that team. Each of the players has some great information about them. I'll pick an active player, Section Attack. He's one of my favorite guys, named after, of course, the infantry term for when you have a section of 8 guys attacking an objective. So here's Section Attack. He's a great player. He's number 27 on the team, and shows you his name, nickname, date of birth, how he got into the team, who he's currently with, his contract info, any honors or awards he got. So 2-time All-Star, 1-time Silver Slugger. It doesn't use our league's name for the Silver Slugger, which is the Gold Crown. It defaults to the Silver Slugger. But here's the batting stats, and of course the underlined years are the years that he was a league leader in that category. Expanded batting stats. Everything on one page, so you don't have to go through flipping through different pages like in OOTP to find this information. And it even gives you similar batters and gives him his career metrics, his Hall of Fame metrics, black ink, gray ink. And you'll notice that there even puts up a little superscript there for Hazel Dell, one of the similar batters to Section Attack, and it puts HOF for Hall of Fame. Several of these guys are retired. Some of them are still active. And at the bottom, it shows you how he got into the team. He was traded by the Calgary Chinooks at the time, now the Inferno, in 2000. Traded to the Salts. He was part of a bundle with 4 other guys, and he was traded for DP Justice. DP Justice at the time was a pretty decent player. Now retired. So that's how the player stats work for StatsLab. The front office is where all the trading information goes on. So right now only 2 teams have players in their trading list. My team and for some reason the AI Hamilton Crusaders have thrown a guy on there. And again, this is where this contact information comes in handy. So if any of the GMs looking to make trades or are interested in my players, they can just click right on email. It'll fire up an email draft. And it gives you the basic stats there. These are the basic ratings and previous season stats. You can administer your trade block, so you can do some moves around your trade block. Who's on it? Who you want to put on it? So yeah, put a general notice. You can put your team needs on here. These are all the players in the Wellington Dukes system. I'm logged in currently as the Wellington Dukes. Team payroll and free agents. And if you want, you can get right into development, although it won't. It may have some information actually. Yeah, we've got some information because it's logged in as Bull Oceanic League, and there generally are developments anyway, and even during the off season. So there you can see the up and down arrows of how these players have developed in our system. So that's a quick overview of StatsLab. Again, the big feature being the export tracker, which sadly does take a little while to load, but we're going to work on a resolution for that. And of course, the manager list. As the season progresses, particularly, you'll get a chance to trial this in the the Florida Rookie League, the Winter Rookie League. A lot of detailed information and stats compiled in there, and that information, those stats, will stay with those players as they progress through your organizations, through the rest of your minor league system. All right, well, thanks very much for listening, and we're going to do some more videos on our Wikipedia, our Bull League Wiki, and some of the other useful things to know for you GMs out there in Bull League land.